Now the wave function, we discuss the what is wave function and what are the properties of the wave function. In quantum mechanics, as we know that the particles are represented by the waves. Now the wave function is a function of position and time. In one dimension it is a function of x and t, in three dimensions it is a function of r and t, r is a function of x, y, z. Now this wave function, it carries all the information regarding the system, because in quantum mechanics the basic equation is a wave equation. So to know everything about a system, we have to first solve that wave equation and find the wave function. And this wave function, it carries all the information. Regarding the system. Suppose we are solving the hydrogen atom. What will be the energy levels of different energy levels when n equal to 1, 2, 3, etc. Then in that case you have to first solve the wave equation in quantum mechanics, which is called Schrodinger equation, and find the wave function, and this wave function carries all the information. But the wave function, it carries all the information, but it has no physical meaning because it is in general a complex quantity. So the wave function has no physical meaning but carries all the information. Then what is the importance of the wave function? Because wave function carries all the information, and if you want to extract the different information from that, so you have to operate different operator on the wave function. Suppose you want to know the momentum, then you have to operate the momentum operator, the H-Mills operator on this wave function. Then you get the numerical value and again the wave function. This gives you the numerical value of the momentum. Similarly, you want to find the energy, then you operate the energy operator on the wave function. You get the numerical value of the energy and again the wave function will be reproduced. So these are the numerical values of these observables. These are the physical observables called the eigenvalue. Now the wave function has no physical meaning and in general a complex quantity. So if the wave function is psi xt is a complex quantity, so if we multiply this complex quantity by its complex conjugate, suppose we multiply this psi xt by its complex conjugate, then we get psi naught square xt. It is a real positive quantity. Real positive quantity. And this psi naught square, it has the physical meaning. Wave function has no physical meaning. It carries all the information regarding the system in it. And this psi naught square, it has the physical meaning. It means it determines the probability density of finding the particle at the point x at that time t. So psi naught square denotes the position probability density. So the quantity psi naught square denotes the at any point in space at that time. Because in quantum mechanics everything is determined in terms of probability, so this is the probability density. Now, if it is the probability density, then if we integrate it over the whole space where the particle is confined, then we get the total probability, and the total probability is always equal to 1. Therefore, as the total probability is unity, then we have that if it is in one dimension, psi xt mod square dx, so minus infinity to plus infinity, we write in this way, that will be equal to 1. Or in 3 dimension, psi rt mod square dv, that is equal to 1. That is, the particle is confined in a certain volume, or over the, if we consider over the whole space, then this total probability will be equal to 1. Now, and when this kind of wave relation is satisfied by the wave function, that is, the total probability is 1, then that wave function is called a normalized wave function. The wave function which satisfies such condition is said to be normalized. Now, this normalization of the wave function is very important in case of bound state problem. Suppose the particle is bound, that is in case of the negative energy problem. Binding energy means negative, we define it by minus sign, because that much amount of energy you have to supply from outside so that it becomes free. So in case of bound state problem, the normalization is very important. Suppose you have a wave function, you have solved a system for which you get a wave function like this, suppose say psi equal to a, suppose f of xt. It is the functional form either sin omega t, x minus omega t, cos kx minus e to the power I, kx minus omega t, like this. A is a unknown constant. Now in that case, we have to apply, we know that psi is normalized, so we apply this psi mod square dv, that is equal to 1. Put the value of psi mod square here, then what we get? S square is a constant quantity, it will come out. You get here f of xt mod square dx, one dimensional, that is equal to 1. Perform this integration over which the particle is confined. Suppose this particle is confined in a length of say minus a to plus a. So your integration limit will be equal to minus a to plus a, because the particle is confined in this region. We know it is confined in this region. So we have to integrate it from minus a to plus a and find the value of this. Then in that case the a square, you get the value of a a will be equal to 1 by square root of this. So you can find the normalization constant and put this value of a here, the wave function which you get, that is called the normalized wave function. So this normalization is very important in case of bound state problems. For scattering state problem where positive energy is there, the normalization is not that much important. Now, therefore, this is the normalized condition. Now, the next is the properties of the wave function. How the wave functions behave. Suppose we have a potential field in which the, as we have considered in this case, simple case, suppose a particle is confined in this region minus a to plus a. Particle is confined. We know for certain the particle is within this region, minus a to plus a. Now outside minus a, no probability of finding the particle. Outside plus a, no probability of finding the particle. So this is the boundary. Minus a is a boundary, plus a is another boundary. So at this point, the wave function on this side here is 0. Here the wave function is 0. Psi 2 xt here is 0. Because the particle cannot go here. So probability of finding the particle is here. Here it is region number 1. Then here you have to find the psi 1 xt by solving the wave equation. Here suppose the region number this is 3. So here the wave function psi 3 xt, that is also equal to 0 because in this region the particle is not here. Then in that case the wave function psi 1 at point minus a must be equal to this. Similarly, psi 1 at point plus a must be equal to this. Also, the derivative of psi 1 must be equal to the derivative of this at point a. Similarly, the derivative of this must be equal to the derivative of this at point minus a. Therefore, the wave function must be continuous and single valued. Single valued means after each 2 pi rotation, the particle, the wave function must reach its same value. After 2 pi rotation, if it goes to some other value, then it is a multi-valued function. So if the wave function becomes multi-valued, then what will happen? If the wave function is multi-valued, then in that case, this psi mod square probability density, that will change with time. What is the probability of finding the particle? Suppose this is your hydrogen atom, the electron is here in the first orbit. What is the probability of finding the electron here? That remains same with the time. 100 years before, the probability determined some value. Nowadays, the same probability will get. So with time, the probability should not be changed. So that's why the wave function must be single valued at every point in space. Therefore, similarly, if the wave function is single valued and continuous at every point in space, then its derivatives must also be continuous and single valued at every point in space. Now therefore, the wave function must be single valued and continuous. So this is the properties of the wave function. The wave function must be continuous and single valued. It must be a single valued and continuous function of the position and time. Similarly, the derivative of the wave function of the wave function with respect to space must also be considered continuous. And also single valued. Everywhere. Here also the everywhere. At all the points, it must have the single value so that the probability should remains constant with time. Otherwise, the probability will vary time to time, which is not expected. Now, therefore, if we combine these two, then one can write a single condition, that is the logarithmic derivative of the wave function must be continuous and single valued everywhere. Therefore, in general, one can write the logarithmic derivative of the wave function must be continuous and single valued everywhere. That is psi 1 equal to psi 2. Here you get del psi 1 del x or del psi 1 del y, del psi 1 del z. That must be equal at region 1, that must be equal at region 2. So the logarithmic derivative in a single condition, the logarithmic derivative of the wave function must be continuous and single value. Now, therefore, these are the properties of the wave function. Now, we discuss the wave equation in quantum mechanics. What is the basic equation? In classical mechanics or in Newtonian mechanics, we know that the basic equation is the Newton's second law of motion, second order differential equation. Now, here also the wave equation which are going to derive, it is called Schrodinger wave equation. That is also a second order differential equation in space variable. Now, in classical mechanics, the wave equation is written as suppose the vibration of a string, a wave is propagating along the string, is vibrating, moving along the positive x direction and vibrating along the y direction. Vibration is along the y direction. Then we write the wave equation as del 2y del x2, that is 1 by v square, del 2y del t2. This is the classical wave equation. Moving along the positive x direction. positive x direction with a velocity v. In case of electromagnetic theory, we have derived this type of equation for the electric and magnetic field vector satisfy this kind of equation, and comparing those equations with this classical wave equation, we have identified the velocity of the traveling electromagnetic wave in space. Now this is the classical wave equation, and therefore the solution of this harmonic wave solution of this equation, that is y of xt a to the power minus I omega t minus x by v. This is the a is the amplitude, omega is the angular frequency, and traveling along the positive x axis. This is the solution of this equation. That means if we substitute this value of y here, then it satisfies this equation. Left hand side will be equal to right hand side. Now here a and omega are the amplitude and angular frequency of the wave which is traveling along the positive x-axis. Now this quantity, this yx, here it is the vibration vibrating along the perpendicular direction to the propagation of the wave, and it is a measurable quantity. But the analogous to y of xt in quantum mechanics is the wave function psi of xt, which is not a measurable quantity, because we know that the psi has no physical meaning, it cannot be measured. Only it carries the information of the system. Therefore, in quantum mechanics, the wave function psi xt, we consider here only one dimension. Psi of xt is analogous to y of xt. But the difference is that the y is a measurable quantity, but the psi, wave function in quantum mechanics, is not a measurable quantity. Now if we consider a form of the wave function psi which is traveling along the positive x-axis, let the wave function traveling along the positive x-axis is represented by similarly to y, we define it psi of xt, that is equal to a e to the power minus I omega t minus x by v. Let us consider the same for harmonic waves. This is the form of the, now this is the amplitude. What is omega? The angular frequency. Suppose this is your equation number 1. Now the angular frequency, as we know, the angular frequency omega. What is angular frequency omega? That is twice pi into the linear frequency. Suppose the linear frequency is denoted by here f, twice pi f. F is the linear frequency. And then if frequency of the wave is f and its wavelength is lambda, then what is the velocity v? And it is v is equal to f into lambda. Lambda is the wavelength of the wave which is associated with the particle. That is the wavelength of the associated wave. Now, if we substitute these values omega and v here in this equation, so substituting all these values, in equation 1, what we get? Psi of xt, that will be equal to a e to the power minus twice pi I f t minus x by f lambda. So if we take f inside, now if we write it in this form, that a to the power minus I, it is taken twice pi f t minus twice pi f is inside, so you get f will cancel, pi by lambda x also we know, also we have that E, the energy is equal to H into frequency, H. So we can write it in this way, twice pi, H by twice pi into F. That is, we write twice pi h cross f, where h cross is h by 2 pi, where this h cross is equal to h by 2 pi. And what is the relation between, according to de Broglie's thesis, hypothesis, we know that momentum or lambda is equal to h by p. That is also, if we write it in that in terms of h cross, and twice pi is h cross by p. H cross is h by 2 pi, so 2 pi will cancel, you get twice pi h cross by p. Now if we substitute all these value of lambda and the frequency will be equal to now E by twice pi h cross. If we substitute all these values here, then in that case, in terms of energy and momentum, the wave function can be rewritten as, now with all these values, the wave function is represented as psi of xt is a to the power minus I. Here it was twice pi f minus I by h cross. You will get finally that is pt minus px. So if we substitute all these values of f in terms of E and lambda in terms of P, then the wave function will be written in terms of energy and the momentum of the particle. So E is the energy associated with that particle moving with the velocity v. So E is the energy of the particle, and P is the corresponding momentum. So we get the wave function in terms of energy and momentum. Now if we differentiate the wave function twice with respect to space and once with respect to time. Now if we differentiate equation number, suppose say this one 2, differentiating equation 2 with respect to say space or the variable x, then we get del psi del x a minus I by h cross and with respect to x derivative is taken, so you get here say p minus and again e to the power this minus I by h cross et minus px. What is a to the power this quantity? That is the psi wave function. This and this, the wave function psi. Therefore, we can write del psi del x xt. Psi is a function of x and t. So it is okay. Then del psi del x, we write, say, take this in this side h cross and I, therefore we write, say, p psi is p psi of xt. That should be equal to h cross by I del x psi xt, or we can write it, take it minus I h cross del x psi xt. So this p psi is equal to this quantity into psi. So the operator, the momentum operator is represented by this p. So the momentum operator p, that is equal to minus I h cross del x. It's a differential operator, minus I h cross del x. Now again, if we take the derivative second time, then differentiating again with respect to x, that is del 2 here, del 2 del x to psi, then here you get, that is a, you get the whole square of this I by h cross p whole square into again this quantity e to the power minus I by h cross et minus px so you get del 2 psi del x to a into this is the wave function, so you get here minus p square by h cross square psi. So p square psi, we get here p psi is equal to this, from that p is identified, p is this momentum operator. Now therefore p square psi is equal to minus h cross square del 2 psi del x2, or we can say p square is equal to minus h cross square del 2 del x2. So p is equal to minus I h cross del x, and p square is equal to minus h cross square del 2 del x. Now we get the momentum operator. Now we again differentiate the wave function psi xt once with respect to time. So if we differentiate it once with respect to time, differentiating psi xt with respect to time t, then del psi del t, that is a minus I by h cross into e into e to the power minus I by h cross. This is the functional form et minus dx. So we differentiate this. So minus I h cross by e will come out. So we write del psi del t, that is equal to minus I e by h cross psi. So from this, take this in this side. So h cross by I del psi del t is equal to E psi is the energy. Therefore, E psi is equal to, we take here, you get I h cross del del t psi. So from that, you can identify the energy operator. So the energy operator E is I h cross del del t. So we get the value of position operator, momentum operator and the energy operator. Now suppose a particle of mass m is moving with a velocity v whose wave function is given by this. Now then its total energy let a particle of say mass m moving in a potential field, say 2x. We are considering one dimension, then it is a function of x. Otherwise, in 3 dimensions, it is a function of x, y, z, function of y. Then the total energy of the particle, kinetic energy plus potential energy, p square by twice m plus u. That is the total energy. Okay, total energy of the particle is kinetic energy plus potential energy. Now if we operate this on the wave function, then we write p square by twice m plus u of x on the wave function. Because these are the all operators, we have to operate it on the wave function. That is equal to E psi of x2. What is value of p square? Minus h cross square del 2 del x2. So substituting the values of p square and E, energy operator. If we substitute here those values, then p square is minus h cross square by twice m del 2 del x2 plus u of x psi xt. What is the I h cross del del t psi h. Now this is a wave equation. is a peculiar type. Second derivative in space and first derivative in time. Unlike the classical wave equation, in classical wave equation we get del 2y del x2 is equal to 1 by v square, del 2y del t2. Both the space and time are treated on equal footing. But in here, in quantum mechanical wave equation, the space and times are not treated on equal footing. Space is second derivative, time is first derivative. So this is the time dependence is there. So this is the time dependent Schrodinger equation. This is the form of the basic wave equation in quantum mechanics, which is very similar to the Newton's second law of motion in classical mechanics. So this is the time dependent Schrodinger equation. Now, if the time dependence is not there, if the system does not depend on time throughout the time, say hydrogen atom throughout the time, say its energy of the first level, second level remains constant. So in that case, we have to solve the time independent Schrodinger equation. Then how to derive the time independent Schrodinger equation or the steady state form of the Schrodinger equation from this equation. Now, the wave function, the psi of xt, this is the derivation of the time independent Schrodinger equation from the time dependent form. The wave function is psi of xt, that is written as a e to the power minus I by h cross et minus px. Now if we separate the space and time part in this wave function, then it will be easier to make the separation of variable in this equation. That means we can separate the space part and time part. So now it can be written in that form. A, this is the time part, this is the space part, e to the power, you get I p by h cross x, and into this part, time part, e to the power minus I e t by h cross. So this wave function psi of xt, it is the space part and this is the time part. They are separated out. Now therefore this psi x is written the phi of x. This part is the phi of x. And another part is time minus I e t by h cross. Space part, time part. Now substitute it here in this time dependent Schrodinger equation. Now if you substitute this value of psi in the separated form in the time dependent Schrodinger equation, then we get minus h cross square by twice m del 2 del x2. What is psi operating on psi? You get here phi x e to the power minus I h I e t by h cross plus ux ix e to the power minus I e t by h cross, that is equal to this part I h cross del del t of ix e to the power minus I e t by h cross. Now this is the time part, this is the space part. So it will operate only phi x, not on this. So therefore we can write minus h cross square by twice m into this e to the power minus I e t by h cross del 2 phi del x2, phi is a function of x only, plus this ux I x e to the power minus I e t by h cross, and that is equal to, this will operate on this, so you get minus I e by h cross will come here, I h cross I x, here you get minus I e by h cross e to the power minus I e t by h cross. Now this exponential function on both sides, so what we get, then you get minus h cross square by twice m del 2 phi del x2, phi is a function of x only, plus u of x phi x, that is equal to, h cross we cancel, I square minus 1 minus plus, you get e phi of x. So this is the time. You see here only depends on space part, no time part is here. So this is called the time independent. Time independent Schrodinger equation. So in this steady state case where the no time dependence is there, the system is steady, does not change its energy with time, throughout the time it remains same, then in that case we use the time independent Schrodinger equation, and where the potential field depends on time, then certain perturbation is applied suddenly to the system. Suppose in the hydrogen atom, say suddenly electric field is applied and then switched off for a certain time, then in that case we have to solve the time dependent Schrodinger equation. So these are the derivation of the time dependent and independent Schrodinger equation. Now in the next class we shall make some application of this time independent Schrodinger equation, of this equation. Okay.